Hey, it's Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader, and welcome to the Black Belt Leadership Podcast, where each week I'm giving you tips, tools, insights, and resources to help you become a better version of who you are and what you do as you discover, develop, and deploy your own unique Black Belt leader within. Now, like many of you that watch this podcast, I grew up in the golden years of comics. Now, this was when DC and Marvel were both battling for dominance on the shelf. And many of the epic characters that you and I have grown to love or to loathe, we've seen taken to the big screen. I'm talking Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, the Hulk, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Green Lantern, Thor. The list could go on. But to me, what I find interesting is some of the more obscure characters actually caught readers' attention. They created their own fan following, and even some of them have made their way to the big screen. And one of those obscure characters is Doctor Strange. And the lesson I want to share this week comes from the pages of his comic and his 2016 signature film. So for the next few minutes, I want to pull out my sling ring and I want to talk about the portal principle, the world you may not see. Now, first appearing in 1963 on the cover of the comic Strange Tales, it was episode 110 where readers were introduced to an arrogant, wealthy neurosurgeon. His life had been shattered after a devastating car crash left his hands crippled. This man's name was Dr. Stephen Strange. He then found himself bankrupted after several failed experimental surgeries, and in a desperate attempt to restore his hands, Dr. Strange travels to the Himalayas in search of a mystical hermit known as the Ancient One. But because of his selfishness and his arrogance, the Ancient One refuses to restore his hands, but offers instead to make him an apprentice. And it's there in the Himalayas that Dr. Strange begins to learn to master the mystic arts. And it was there he discovers a world he didn't know. Now, the 2016 adaptation of this iconic character, what do we see? We see transformation. We see a man who is singularly focused on himself at the beginning of the movie to towards the end of the movie, a man who became singularly focused on selflessly saving the world. And as he trains with the Ancient One, he discovers there is a multiverse, many, many worlds he's yet to see. But if you're not familiar with the Stephen Strange story, let me set it up for you. A student of the Ancient One, Caecilius, he steals several pages of a mystical book, and these pages reveal the means to destroy the three sanctums that protect the earth from the threats of multidimensional beings. And in a quest to stop Caecilius' efforts to conquer the planet, Dr. Strange uses a cloak of levitation, a sling ring to manipulate time and space, and an infinity stone to battle the forces of evil. But there's a powerful moment in the movie when the Ancient One has been mortally wounded as she and Dr. Strange were battling Caecilius and his minions. And as her spirit was leaving her body, she pauses to, what I would say, have a poignant conversation with her protege. Now you got to remember, Stephen Strange was a brilliant, accomplished servant. He was respected, he was highly successful, but he was still struggling with arrogance. Much of his life has been built around himself. It was his talent, his reputation, his achievements, his importance, and his skill as a surgeon. That's all that mattered to Stephen Strange. And despite the loss of the use of his hands, his journey up to this point with the Ancient One had still been largely about himself. What did we hear about? His loss, his pain, his future, his desire to reclaim the life that he once had. And then the Ancient One's final words, her final teaching. She confronts him with a lesson he's really yet to learn. Arrogance and fear, she says, is still keeping you from learning the simplest and most significant lesson of all. And Dr. Strange asks, which is? And her answer, I believe it's a mic drop moment for Dr. Strange, and again, for you and I. It's not about you. Now, in this one moment, as she is departing this earth, never to return, she helps Dr. Strange realize that his drive to become a brilliant a brilliant surgeon didn't come from a true craving for success. It came from a paralyzing fear of failure. And these four simple words, they served as the ultimate lesson in humility. It forced Dr. Strange to have a moment in the mirror with himself, to realize that his purpose on earth was to serve and protect others. It was not to massage his ego or to reclaim his past. Now, his arrogance and his fear of losing control was what was ultimately preventing him and maybe us from achieving true greatness in our lives. In his quest for personal success and self-significance, Dr. Strange failed to understand that happiness isn't all these things, but happiness is something entirely different. And what the Ancient One was revealing to Stephen Strange and to us is a world we have yet to see. And I believe perhaps this is one of the most important lessons that you and I can learn on what we call the road to happiness. And it's this: we often confuse our perception of reality with reality itself. Now, think about that, because maybe the one reason so many people are unhappy today is because they make happiness entirely about themselves. Like the world of Dr. Strange, you and I can find ourselves very easily living in a me-centric world. It's very easy to forget that we've been put on this earth on purpose, for a purpose, and that purpose for which we've been put here is greater than ourselves. But in our relentless, selfish pursuit of what we want, we, like Dr. Strange, fail to understand a very simple truth. It's not about you. Now, this to me is the portal principle. It's discovering a world, a life-changing truth that maybe we didn't even realize was there. On this undiscovered road to true happiness and purpose and fulfillment, it's the portal principle that reveals to us it's not about you and it's not about me. After all, happiness is a state of well-being and contentment. My question is, does that describe your life? And sadly, for far too many people, I would say the answer is no. Far too many of us have turned happiness into a destination, into a possession, into something we believe we have to achieve rather than a state of well-being and contentment. And then we wonder why the more aggressively we pursue this crazy view of happiness, the more isolated, the more disconnected, and the more depressed we become. Now, why is this? Well, because Stephen Strange, we've made the journey all about our own wants and needs, all about our own sense of self-worth. And in doing so, we fail to understand that happiness isn't so much about fame and fortune and prestige. And maybe the problem is that we fail to find the right road to happiness. Maybe the problem, like Stephen Strange, is that we misunderstood the purpose of the journey. Because the road to happiness may begin with the simplest and most significant lesson of all. It's not about you. The harder we pursue happiness in our lives, the more elusive happiness can become. This is what is often called the happiness paradox. When we treat happiness as something we believe has to be measured, or it is a destination that we have to reach, we end up setting unrealistic expectations. And when what we unrealistically expect doesn't happen, we end up finding ourselves discouraged and disappointed. We fail to grasp this. Happiness is an organic byproduct of living life on purpose for a purpose that's greater than ourselves. Now, psychologist Viktor Frankl noted that happiness comes only as an unattended consequence of a dedication to a cause or engaging in activities outside of our own selfish lives. He too acknowledged it's not a feeling, it's a state of well-being and contentment, and that only comes, he says, when we build deeper relationships, we pursue personal growth, and we contribute selflessly to the world around us. But it's very easy for all of us to say, I'll be happy when, and then we fill in the blank. And this misdirected focus on the future causes us to become so fixated on the life we imagine we're going to someday have, we fail to experience the life we're having right now in this moment. Now, psychologists refer to this as the happiness trap. It's a cycle of delayed gratification that ultimately leads to us devaluing what's happening in this present moment. It's an illusion of control, making our happiness contingent on some uncertain future outcome. And when we become fixated on what's missing, what's lacking, what's absent in our lives, rather than being grateful for and appreciating what we have today, we're focusing on the wrong thing. Because if we don't obtain these things, then we believe we're never going to be happy or fulfilled. Now, in the movie, Stephen Strange has a large collection of designer watches. Each one of those watches represented another failed attempt to make himself happy. And we all do that. Every purchase he made and every purchase that you and I make us feel good for a moment, but it always leaves us lacking. Money can become a drug of choice in an attempt to feel good for the moment, only to discover that money and the things it can buy really don't leave us fulfilled or satisfied. So the Ancient One was revealing the portal principle to Dr. Strange and to the rest of us. She was exposing a world of possibility that he and we had yet to see. And she was showing us that a world that where we're fixated on ourselves, that's not a place we want to be. Now, in the classic movie, The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and Toto are following the yellow brick road and they're on their way to the Emerald City. And shortly after they leave Munchkin Land, they come to a fork in the road. And as she's having a conversation with her dog, a friendly scarecrow offers some advice. This way is a very nice way, he says, as he points in one direction. And then moments later, he points in the other direction. And what does he say? But it's pleasant down that way too. And while the scarecrow couldn't make a decision, this cinematic example highlights an important but overlooked element in our own pursuit of happiness and success. And that's this: there's more than one way to get from here to there. There's more than one road that can lead us to true happiness. Why is that? Because you and I, we all define happiness and success differently. So as a result, the pathway to success for you is going to be different than the pathway to success for me. It's going to be unique for each and every one of us. The destination is unique as the definition. There are many roads that can ultimately lead to happiness and success, but that's going to be based upon what happiness and success looks like to you and it looks like to me. I hate to break it to you, but there is no universal road to happiness. There is no singular yellow brick road to get to the Emerald City. So the key is this: don't get married to the journey, because like Dorothy, your road to the Emerald City is going to be filled with detours. GPS may reroute you. A storm may slow you down or halt your progress. And maybe, just maybe, some flying monkeys are going to snatch you up and take you somewhere you didn't intend to go, and they're going to drop you in the middle of nowhere. And now you've got to fight your way back to your own yellow brick road. You know, what I do find interesting about The Wizard of Oz is that the very reason Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, the reason they all thought they needed to see the wizard turned out to be something entirely different. The quest for something they thought they needed turned out to be a world they didn't know existed. And what got their attention was this: it was the fact that, like Stephen Strange, they came to realize that it was not about them, but it was about what they could do to contribute to the welfare and the well-being of other people. And this, by the way, is the black belt definition of love. Now, Doctor Strange, as the characters in The Wizard of Oz, they came to realize it's not the destination, but it's what we learn on the journey that matters. It's the journey that gave them and gives us meaning and understanding. Passion gives us energy. Purpose gives us direction. And contribution gives each and every one of our lives meaning. Now, there are things that you and I are going to discover as we go on the journey from success to significance. Success is something we experience for ourselves, but significance is something we experience as a result of something we've done for other people. And happiness works the same way. So this realization came to Dr. Strange in the form of four simple words. It's not about you. You got to remember, Stephen Strange had sought out this ancient mystic initially to have his hands repaired so he could return to a self-centered, egotistical world. But what he discovered on the journey, what he learned along the way, is that his own self-worth is what was truly in need of healing. And during his time at Kamar Taj, Dr. Strange was taken on a journey of self-discovery. He was forced to move through three levels of self-worth. And it was there that he truly gained an appreciation of his mission, his calling, his purpose. It was there he discovered a world he had yet to see. And you and I have to go on this same quest as the good doctor. So here we go. Level one of self-worth is insignificance. It's in this stage of our lives that we feel invisible, we feel unnecessary, we feel unimportant. We may believe we're disconnected from lives and that our very lives itself are inconsequential and have no purpose. It's in level one, we're asking our questions like, does anybody see me? Does anybody need me? Does anybody even care that I matter? Now, it's in this stage, level one of self-worth, we begin to wonder if anybody even sees us, if they hear us, if they value us, or if any single person appreciates. It's there we feel isolated and alone. But what I find interesting is that many people in this stage can be outwardly successful, but inwardly they feel unnecessary and unimportant. But if we remain in this stage like Dr. Strange, here's what happens. We find ourselves imprisoned in a world of insignificance. And in response, we make the world all about ourselves in a vain attempt to justify our reason for being. We become arrogant. We become egotistical to mask the fear of failing or the fact that we believe we're never going to be accepted, loved, and valued. But as Stephen Strange worked with the Ancient One and with Mordo, he slowly began to discover that he had worth and value, and we do too. He discovered, as do we all, he had something to contribute to the lives of other people. And it was there he moved to level two. Level two of self-worth is importance. And it's in this stage of self-discovery that we begin to realize that we are seen, we are heard, and we are valued and appreciated by others. We begin to understand that we do have goals and dreams, and they matter. Our health, our future, our happiness, our welfare, and even our well-being matter as well. We begin to say to ourselves and to the world around us, I am important. My life matters to me. And it's in this stage of self-development that we begin to establish the boundaries that govern our thoughts and our behaviors. We begin to take individual responsibility for our actions. We start in this stage to realize that personal growth is essential if we're going to become a better version of ourselves. And like Dr. Strange, we begin to believe that achieving bigger and better things is possible. We began to realize that we were created to say, to do, and to become so much more than we are right now. But we're still not quite where we want to be. Why? There's another portal yet to be revealed. You know, being important is better than being insignificant. But being important, get this, can still be entirely self-centered. You and I, we can build a successful life, but that life remains smaller than it could be if the only person that success serves is ourselves. Now, it's in this critical final conversation with the Ancient One that Stephen Strange begins to see a world he's yet to see as he steps into level 3 of self-worth, and that's significance. Because when he's told it's not about you, Stephen Strange gains an insightful revelation into what truly matters. Now, don't miss this. Significance begins when our lives contribute to something greater, more important than ourselves. We move towards significance when who we are and what we do contribute to something important to someone other than ourselves. Now, Stephen Strange realized that his life wasn't just valuable to him. It was valuable for what he contributed to the welfare and to the well-being of others. This is the portal principle, the world we've yet to see being revealed to Doctor Strange and to those of us in the theater watching the movie. We begin to realize my life is valuable to someone else. My presence matters to someone else. My work improves someone else. My leadership develops someone else. My encouragement strengthens someone else. My sacrifice creates opportunity for someone else. My wisdom shared with others shortens their learning cycle. And my example gives someone else permission to believe that more is possible for them. And here's the greatest insight that you're going to get from level 3 of this self-worth, self-discovery journey. The more we contribute, the more meaningful the journey becomes. Did you get that? The more we contribute, the more meaningful the journey becomes. You know, that's true because some of life's deepest and most meaningful forms of fulfillment are found when you and I contribute to the growth, the well-being, and the success of other people. Happiness asks us how we feel. Success asks us what we've achieved, but meaning asks why this matters. And significance asks, who did you make better simply because you were there? Now, the Ancient One was reminding Dr. Strange of a concept that I've heard my mentor, Dr. John Maxwell, say often. Once you've tasted significance, success will never satisfy. Now, you got to remember, a white belt getting started in the martial arts often believes his goal, her goal, is the black belt. But the experienced martial artist comes to an understanding that the belt is not the destination. The person you're becoming as a result of the training you're going through, that's what matters. And it's at that moment the journey stops being about the belt around your waist and it starts becoming about the person you are becoming, the life that is being changed because you stayed on the mat and submitted yourself to personal growth. You know, maybe the Ancient One was right. Maybe it's arrogance, maybe it's fear that really keeps us from learning life's simplest but most significant lesson. It's not about you. But that doesn't mean you're not important. Your dreams matter, and so do your goals, and so do your happiness. The life you want to build matters, not just for you, but for the people around you. So maybe, just maybe, the road to happiness begins with this. It becomes more clear when we stop asking, what can make me happy? And we begin asking better questions like this. Who can I help? Who can I contribute to? Whose burden can I lighten? Whose potential can I encourage? Whose problem can I solve? What wisdom can I share? What opportunity can I create? And who might travel farther or faster because I help them on the way? Understand this. There are many roads to happiness. Some of those roads are straight. Some of them are going to be winding. Some of us are going to take us through beautiful seasons of sunshine and success. Other roads we're going to travel are going to take us through storms we never expected and valleys we never would have chosen to go through. Well, I'm here to tell you on this journey to happiness, to success, and ultimately significance, there's going to be detours. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be wrong turns. We're going to come to closed exits. We're going to have unexpected off-ramps. There's going to be moments in life when we have to recalculate the entire route that we're taking. So don't get married to the road. Stay committed to learning, to growing, to improving, and to become a better version of who you are and what you do every single day. I want to challenge you to stay committed to serving and contributing to the welfare and the well-being of others, because this is how you say, I love you. So Here's my final thoughts. Pursue your passion. Live your life with purpose. Create meaning and seek significance. Because happiness I can't talk. Happiness may not be waiting for you at the end of the road. You may discover that happiness was traveling beside you all along the way. And the people you helped, the lives you touched, the burdens you carried, the hope you gave, and the difference you made. Get this, the road to happiness is rarely just about where you're going. It's about who you're becoming and whose lives you made better simply because you passed this way. I'm Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.